Amanita Pantherina Experiences, Episode 2, New Jersey Shenanigans. Welcome back to Amanita Pantherina Experiences. Today we're heading to New Jersey for some absolute shenanigans. Stay with me to the end because while this story is hilarious to hear, there's actually a really important lesson underneath it about loops, impaired motor function, being prepared for a deeper experience, and why having a sitter can matter. Hey Seekers, if you're new here, I'm Marlucia from Awakening Roots. I work closely with Amanita, specifically Muscaria, Regalis, and Pantherina, the three varieties I trust and use. Quick disclaimer, this video is for educational purposes only. I'm not here to treat, diagnose, or prescribe anything. Due to YouTube guidelines and FDA regulations, nothing shared here should be taken as medical advice. I know Amanita can feel complex and even scary. My goal is to break it down clearly so you can understand it well enough to create your own protocol instead of following someone else's. Let's get into it. Hey Seekers, welcome back. This story revolves around a friend of my spouse's from New Jersey. For obvious reasons, we're not going to use his real name. We're going to call him Mr. Shenanigans because that's very fitting to his archetype. Mr. Shenanigans had been learning all about Amanita from us and wanted to explore it more for himself, so we gifted him some slurry to try. Not long after that, he was traveling for work and staying alone in a hotel. And Mr. Shenanigans decided, you know what would be a great idea? I'll try this slurry tonight, by myself in the hotel. He took what I would describe as a healthy portion and went about his normal evening routine. For a while, everything was great. He was relaxing, enjoying himself, hanging out in his hotel room, and then suddenly, the spike hit. If you've ever had a deeper Amanita experience, you may know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes there's this moment when the experience suddenly announces itself. And Mr. Shenanigans needed to move. So he gets out of bed and casually walks down to the hotel lobby like absolutely nothing unusual is happening. He decides he wants Skittles. He buys his Skittles. And then he drops them. So he picks them up. And he drops them again. So he picks them up. And he drops them again. And now he realizes something isn't right. This is where the experience shifts. Remember what we talked about in episode 1 with Texas Thor? Loops don't necessarily happen only in your thoughts. They can show up in motion. Pick it up, drop it. Pick it up, drop it. And when motor function is also becoming impaired, you can get what I call the dropsies. Dropping objects, stumbling, your knees buckling, movements not quite happening the way your brain thinks they're happening. Thankfully, Mr. Shenanigans recognized that something was happening. He was able to break through the spiral, get himself centered enough to leave the lobby and safely make it back to his hotel room. So now he's lying in bed and decides, I need to call my buddy. Except he doesn't call my spouse, he calls his wife. And proceeds to tell her how amazing the slurry is. He's telling her all about how he was time looping in the hotel lobby, how incredible everything feels, and now he's seeing and feeling fireworks. He's having the time of his life. His wife, not so much. So when we first heard this story, it was funny. He got silly, he dropped some Skittles, he basically drunk dialed his wife without being drunk. Big deal. But my friends, Mr. Shenanigans was not finished shenaniganing because sometime later he decides he's going to try the slurry again. This time he's home. He's alone for the weekend. He takes another healthy portion and starts flying around his house cleaning. He's having a fantastic time, cleaning everything, moving around, enjoying himself. Eventually, he gets tired and goes to sleep. Sometime during the night, he wakes up because he has to use the bathroom. He washes his hands, dries them off with a paper towel, and for whatever reason made perfect sense to Mr. Shenanigans in that particular moment, he tears the paper towel in half. One half goes in the garbage, and the other half he stuffs into the sink drain. Then he leaves the faucet running and goes back to bed. Now imagine this. He's peacefully sleeping, the sink is running, the drain is plugged, the bathroom begins filling with water. The water starts traveling through the upstairs floor, and Mr. Shenanigan is completely asleep until suddenly, crash! He wakes up to the sound of his chandelier crashing onto the dining room table downstairs. Enough water had accumulated and traveled through the structure around the chandelier that the ceiling assembly gave way. And that is when Mr. Shenanigans realizes what he's done. Now, hearing him tell this story is absolutely hilarious because of his energy. He is naturally one of the funniest people to listen to, and thankfully, he was okay. But underneath the comedy is something I don't want us to miss. The shenanigans happened because he was unprepared. He was alone, and he took more than he was prepared to navigate. Think about that first experience. He had already demonstrated looping behavior and impaired motor coordination with the Skittles. That was information. Then he decided to have another deeper experience while completely alone. And during that experience, he performed an action that apparently made sense to him in that moment, plugging a drain, leaving the water running, and going back to sleep. That's why I don't think Amanita education should only be about amounts or compounds. You need to understand behavior. You may be able to walk, you may be able to talk, you may even be able to make completely rational decisions, or so you think. Your judgment and coordination can still be significantly altered. This is also why when we're talking about deeper experiences, I keep coming back to setting, preparation, and having someone trustworthy present. A sitter isn't there to control your experience. They're there because sometimes you don't know that you're the one doing the shenanigans. If another person simply been awake in that house, they could have turned off a faucet. That's it. One tiny intervention could have changed the entire ending of this story. So yes, we laugh about Mr. Shenanigans. He laughs about Mr. Shenanigans. I promise you, hearing him tell this story is even funnier. But a flooded house and a chandelier crashing through a ceiling could have ended very differently. And that's exactly why I'm sharing these experiences. Not to scare you, not to tell you what path you should choose, but because sovereignty means seeking wisdom, not instructions. Learn from the people who went before you, even when their lesson involves a bag of Skittles and half a paper towel, and one very expensive New Jersey shenanigan. I'll see you in the next Amanita Pantherina experience. And don't you forget, I love you forever.